James Gunn says his Superman is serious. In an article recently posted over at comicbook.com, James Gunn talks about the overall tone of his up-and-coming Superman movie. According to Gunn, the film, which stars David Cornsweet as Superman, is relatively serious and also a pretty family-friendly film, which I'm sure comes as somewhat of a relief for many who thought that it would be, well, shall we say, more adult-like, with what some have come to describe as crass jokes and tasteless humor like Peacemaker. He was quoted as saying, "We have something that's relatively serious here, like Superman, and then something that's comedic like Peacemaker, something very adult like Peacemaker, and something pretty family-friendly like Superman." He stated that one of the things that he loves about DC Comics is that they're always able to tell different stories in different ways. They tell family-oriented stories, and then they tell much more adult, dark ones, which is a rather odd description when you consider one of the biggest complaints WB had about Zack Snyder was his direction he was taking. That was dark. But that's a story for another time, perhaps. Now, it's recently been rumored that DC will release the Superman trailer on December 9th. But there's a catch. It's only to the press, which, as you might guess, has a few people rather annoyed and confused, and I get it. But it's obviously just a way to get the press to hype up the movie once they do get to see the trailer, if the trailer is good. Well, there's no telling what will happen if they walk away thinking that it's simply mediocre. But as I said, this is only a rumor, so who really knows? Only James Gunn. Now, in a separate conversation Gunn had with Shoebang Fearless on Threads, Shoebang asked Gunn, "Hey, why is he not making any origin stories in relation to DC? And why does it seem that he's only choosing niche characters for new movies such as Sergeant Rock and Swamp Thing? Because it looks like he's only making movies for hardcore comic book readers, and well, he's ignoring the general audience." Well, little Jimmy Gunn fired back in little Jimmy Gunn true fashion by saying, and I quote, "I'm not telling Batman and Superman origin stories again because everybody knows them. And don't put Swamp Thing in a corner. He's an incredibly well-known character. Do tell, little Jimmy. Do tell." And speaking of Sergeant Rock, well, it appears that a movie based on the character is currently in development over at DC. And none other than Daniel Craig, yes, that's right, Mr. Bond, James Bond himself, is rumored to be in talks to play him. And it's creating quite a buzz over at social media. Now, nothing has been finalized as of yet, but I'm sure we'll all know one way or another soon enough. I could be wrong, but I don't think Craig has played another action character outside of James Bond besides his role in Cowboys and Aliens, and if anybody knows anything different, I'd like to know. This whole thing could be interesting, so we will keep our ears open. Now, Sergeant Rock, in case you didn't know, is a fictional DC comic book character who led Easy Company during World War II and has been around since 1959. Now, whether or not the film will actually take place in the 1940s during World War II or in a more modern day setting, no one knows as of yet, as the film is in the early stages of development. Just a reminder, we're only 10 days away from the debut of James Gunn's Creature Commandos over on Max. Are you excited? I know many are. Me? Not so much. But I will be checking it out just the same, just to see what the hype is all about. And that's it for this show. If you have any comments and or concerns about anything I've covered, feel free to post them in the section down below. And if you like today's show, then why don't you bend that finger and hit that like button so you don't miss the next one. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. God bless and socks out.